I want to bring in another freshman New York congressman. Democrat Daniel Goldman released a statement shortly after the news saying, quote, "It is incumbent on Speaker Kevin McCarthy to eliminate the stain of Santos on this hallowed institution by removing him from Congress immediately." All right, Congressman, hallowed seems a bit much. You do know where you work, right?
We're regaining its hallowed nature by trying to get rid of George Santos.
Well, it always seemed like, it's funny, this always seemed like what the game plan was from McCarthy et al. Was, boy, this guy seems like he's in a lot of trouble. We'll just wait for the deus ex machina of the feds or some other prosecutorial entity to do the job. But now it's like, well, he can just keep serving. You know, McCarthy has said that his standard is the Fortenberry standard. Fortenberry, who I believe was convicted or pleaded, I can't remember, to lying to federal officials, was allowed to stay until the conviction and then was asked to leave. But that's a long time for George Santos to serve in Congress.
Yeah, and it's completely unacceptable. Look, we have to recognize here several things that Josh just mentioned, some of them. First, George Santos has admitted to lying about numerous representations that he made on the campaign trail. Second, he has now been charged criminally, most likely, or at least there's public reporting, and I would be shocked if this were not the case, related to his effort to defraud the voters of his district so that he could become a member of Congress. To say now that, oh, those facts as they will be laid out in an indictment are insufficient to remove him from office is cyclical and preposterous in nature. And so what I think and hope that the Speaker recognizes is that his 218th vote is less important than the institution of Congress.
Oh, come on.
Hallowed or not, as you like to say, Chris. But it is true. And we all walk around these halls. We all take our job very seriously. And for George Santos to have a vote that counts as much as my vote is a travesty. And I think that hopefully the Speaker will come around and recognize that that's the right thing to do.
Well, we should note also that this is not partisan, that other members of the New York class, the freshman class, have come to the same position. This is Anthony Desposito, who's a Republican freshman in the, I think, adjacent district to George Santos, who said, as a retired NYPD detective, I'm confident the justice system will fully reveal his long history of deceit. I once again call on this serial fraudster to resign from office. Freshman Republican member Mike Lawler, who is in a district that Joe Biden won and is considered one of the frontline folks in this next election. I reiterate my call for George Santos to step down. Representative Stefanik in Republican leadership has not done that. She's also in the New York delegation. She seems fully gung-ho behind George Santos.
And she has been the entire time. She was George Santos's biggest advocate, his biggest endorser. She fundraised for him, and she has not said anything about George Santos's pattern of deceit and lies. And she's a part of Republican leadership. And what is very clear is that they care much more about power and much more about having their 218 votes than they do about having a fraudster in their party representing nearly 800,000 people in Queens and Long Island. And it's a total travesty, Chris. It really comes down to what people think is wrong with Congress. And the problem is that many people will not necessarily relate George Santos to a particular party or to a particular person, Stefanik or McCarthy. It sullies the reputation of the institution, and it really is time that we regain the confidence and trust of the American people by removing George Santos.
Yeah, again, I should note that I think there's multiple members of both parties in the New York delegation have called for him to resign. Basically, all the bigwigs of the Nassau County Republican politics have called for him to resign, if I'm not mistaken. They did a big press conference. That was the one where it was revealed that he had lied about being like a star volleyball player for Baruch College, which is one of my favorite George Soros tall tales. But this is like, it's sort of a bizarre and almost intolerable situation where it just seems like there's a consensus, like this guy lied, he shouldn't be there. Now there's going to be federal charges tomorrow, and Kevin McCarthy's like, tough, basically.
Well, look at the recent history, Chris. George Santos was the deciding vote on the debt limit.
Yep.
George Santos was the deciding vote to make Kevin McCarthy Speaker of the House. this is very transactional for the speaker to maintain his power and his speakership. And so clearly he's going to go down with George Santos as far as he will go.
All right. Congressman Daniel Goldman, also representing New York in this Congress. Thank you very much.